Hey, welcome to the Business Beauty Network podcast where business meets beauty. I'm your host, Brandi Taylor. Welcome. I'm super excited to have you here. We have an awesome episode in store for you. I've been in this industry for over 16 years, and it is my goal to bring thought provoking conversations from business and beauty professionals to help us grow our business and expand our minds. And as I would say, it's not just lipstick, it's business. So we mixed in a little fun and we drop episodes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to your podcast as well. So make sure you check us out there and listen to it and subscribe there. Also, click the bell in YouTube so that you don't miss an upload. You also want to make sure that you check out our podcast on our website at businessbeautynetwork.com. You can email us at hello@businessbeautynetwork.com. We are super excited to have you a part of this community. And here is today's episode. Hey, welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brandi Taylor. We have an awesome guest today, Jeanel Alvarado. Welcome, Jeanel.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Thanks for being on. So, Jeanel, you are the retail boss. So tell us, your journey, entrepreneurial journey. How did you get in the retail industry and start your journey?
Yeah, so first of all, after finishing high school, as most young millennials, I started doing retail as my main job, like the first job I could actually get out of high school. So I was working at a company selling fashion apparel while I was attending university. So I was first year university student, had my, folding clothing, hanging clothing, trying to sell to all these people. And yeah, I think after that, I found that retail is either something that you love or hate. Especially when you're doing it as just something that you're just doing just to get by, to be honest. After I worked there for a while, I realized, hey, I'm actually pretty good at selling. I was, top selling in that area. And I was pretty shocked because I was just part-time. I didn't really think I had many skills. So that was kind of the first place where I realized, wow, okay, I have a skill in something at least. After doing that, I continued. I later became a beauty consultant, mainly working with beauty brands. That was, again, still on the sales floor, selling different kind of cosmetics. So I did fashion, then I did beauty, all while I was still in university. Upon finishing university, I was hired at the same university I finished my business degree at. And I ended up working at the School of Retailing, which covers all of the curriculum related to retail, any kind of liaison between our retail partners that are always looking to hire students, and then also run consulting projects with our master's students. So I was in charge of that arm, the consulting, managing, hiring consultants, and also attending different trade shows. And that's what really got me in the behind the scenes, because up to this time I was on the floor, I was in school. And then while I was in this new position, I realized, wow, there's so much more to retail on the business to business side. So that's really what I focus in. And that's how I got started.
Awesome. So it's always interesting, like how you see a need, because I think that's what it really takes to start your own thing. Like if there's something that you see a need for, and if even if there's something out there similar, or maybe there's not something out there, you're like, okay, I need to create a solution. So you had this experience in the retail industries, in sales, and working in it through from high school through college and everything. And when you saw the need and you started to develop the retail boss, like take us through like your thought process, and what you wanted to deliver to the community that you serve now.
Yeah, so great point. Yeah, so I think I brushed over how retail boss even fits into everything. But yeah, so while I was actually in my third or fourth year, I think it was my third year in university, I while I was also at the university, I was doing work in consulting through the same center that I was later hired in after I graduated. So I was still paid. I was working there, but I wasn't in like a high capacity management role. During my time there, I was on consulting projects, and then I was also managing different teams. So what ended up happening is we started getting projects that were for smaller businesses. And at our center, we only take projects that are $15,000 or more. So then we realized, wow, there's such a demand right now for a small business. And what was great about my boss at the time, she allowed me to take those projects on the side. And then during that time is when really we started to do a lot more with Retail Boss. I had already done projects just on my own, but this was the first time I actually hired a team. So I hired 4 students who were at the same, taking the same classes as me at the business school. Some could say some of my friends. And so I hired them on for business students in their 4th year of university. And they were doing projects for different type of companies, including Tulip Retail, which was is a POS company and analytics company based in Toronto. And we were doing that as students. And I ran that through Retail Boss. So I would say the demand really showed that there was demand for small businesses who needed assistance in retail, and they just couldn't get that consulting fee that they needed to work with some of the big firms.
Wow, and it's awesome that they allowed you, they said gave you the, okay to go ahead and do your own thing. Because sometimes when you're working for a company or something like that, that doesn't always happen. So that's great you were able to do that for sure. And then hiring students and everything to work on the program. What were some of in the beginning stages of your business? What were some of the first things that you offered to small businesses?
Yeah, so primarily the first thing was definitely figuring out the market. And we're not talking about marketing, which people always get, interchange. So I'm not talking about marketing. I'm talking about just the market research, figuring out if there is room for their company to grow. So we worked on a variety of projects. One that I'll use, for example, is a grocery store. So as you know, there's the big grocery companies, but then there's also your local groceries that are usually family owned, right? They're small businesses. So a company like that may think about expanding their operations or even creating a franchise if they're so popular. Even we see this with small coffee shops. We see them become start as small businesses, family owned, and then they become franchises because people love them so much. So what we would do is we would do market assessments to figure out where would the best spot be for them to open up another location based on the sales history and postal code analysis of the people who typically buy from them. Where are they commuting from? Because are people driving 15 minutes all the way to your coffee shop, right? And we can find out that information. And then we figure out, all right, there's a pocket here of people who really like your coffee. Maybe you might want to open something up here. Other things that they might also look for is shopping centers. They might want to open up a little coffee shop in a busy, up and coming new development, and they want to figure out, will there be enough room for my coffee shop to survive if a Starbucks is also in this mall? If different kind of companies already in here, is it feasible with the amount of workers in this area? Are there enough corporate firms of people during their lunch break who will come buy the coffee? So we'll figure that out. We use a lot of different data that's already provided. We can even look at credit card data that you can literally anybody can do. You can buy it from a company. That's what they're really doing with your credit card information. Somebody is, the companies are selling that information to people who want to know what you yourself are buying because they want to target you.
Awesome. So you did the market research basically to really get an understanding for how you can help that business and the market and everything. So is that some of the services that you started off with, you and a few other students helping businesses with their market research and all of those things? And now once you did the market research and the credit card reports and understood all of that, what process did you take them through then?
Yeah, so usually what we call these reports are market assessments. Usually they're done by, a variety of different brands, real estate firms, also, tap into retail consultants and different consulting for retail on those matters. So it's literally a combination of consumer behavior, so consumer data, market data, and then the shopping behavior, right? And then, of course, economics come into play. is there supply and demand? Because maybe today, this development might be hot, but as we're seeing now with what happening post-pandemic, with people wanting to work more from home. So let's say we came up with all of that post before anything even happened, pre pandemic. Now what are we going to do? Because the same analysis we might have just made about the coffee shop now may not be feasible, because maybe we hear that XYZ company that's in that building is going to have 70% of their workforce working at home. So that information, even though we provide it once, there's always room for it to continue to be tweaked over time. So depending on the company's budget, it might be just something we look at right now, or it's a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, or you just keep re-looking at it. How are the numbers looking? So what this really helps the company do is figure out the best way for scaling, as well as understanding exactly that, because there's only so much a small business can do. You really want to create a company that has demand for the product right now, because if you are just trying to, marketing is expensive. So do the market research first, because marketing can, the cost of creating ads and advertisements for a market that isn't interested or is no longer in that location, that can kill the business faster. So yeah, that's definitely something we look at, and usually it is something that's very ongoing.
Yes, Jeanel, I could definitely see that. I know a lot of people want to start a brand, but they fail to do the market research. Like, is there a need for the product in the market? And all of those things, or even knowing who they serve and all of those, like, who is your target market? Like, it's not everybody, right? So you're not serving everybody. Is there a need? Just because you see a lot of other people doing it doesn't mean this is a great business to start. So I think that's wonderful that you guys were helping these businesses, with that research piece, because I think that's a big piece that most people wouldn't even know where to start, like, or know how to do it for themselves. And so I think that's why they miss it oftentimes for small businesses, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because we always say you want to build your business for it's like future proof, right? You want to make sure that you're building something that's going to withstand in the future. You might even do your research and figure out, there's just not enough market for this company to even grow. So you're just building a company that will sustain at one location. And depending if that's just what you want, then great, that's what you'll do. But if you have, goals of making a franchise or having multiple locations, and you do the research up front, then maybe you might want to pivot to something else, right? Because there's different ways. You might think you want to have a coffee shop. Later, you might find it's more profitable for you to be the person who's just behind, harvesting, those the coffee beans, right? And then packaging them up. And then you do more of a wholesale model to all of the coffee shops that already exist. And just like you said, if there's a demand, because there's demand for different types of grades of different types, and maybe there's a gap. Maybe there's not enough certified wholesale coffee bean, producers right now, and that might be something that has huge potential, and there's demand for that. So we also look at that, what model would be the best for you. And it's really interesting because once you do the market research, you might realize only a few products do really well, or your wholesale does really well. And yeah, they might just cut off the retail because it's like, you know what, 5 years down the road, this isn't going to grow. But 5 years down the road, wholesale, or maybe looking to owning our own farm, overseas, and doing this, and that can become something that is really valuable over 5 years.
Right. And you can't manage what you don't track. So these are some things that every business should know and understand. And if you don't understand how to do the research, it's great that you guys provide a service to get some of these research done, so you can understand it, so you can properly position yourself in the market, or see, like, maybe you might have a direction that you think you're going in, like you said, and then you kind of do the research and figure out, I need to do something totally different.
Yeah,
Right.
might be surprised, and going another direction doesn't mean it's a bad direction. It's a better direction. That's our job. Our job is to really look at, not to give you bad news, to give you good news, and it's just up to you to take it or leave it, right? Because research is just one thing. I'm sure there's many cases, and we see this in consulting all the times, where you might make a report and the person proves you wrong, right? So it's not like you have a crystal ball in anything, but you can just look at past data, current data, market, looking at, and, some things are really easy to see that it's not gonna, some might be a gamble, and then some is a definite, like, shift, or stand your ground and just try to figure out ways to maybe cut costs currently, and figure out a more efficient model for something that you have that's going to be more small and sustainable, and just figure out how you can maybe maximize profit.
Mhm. Over the past 2 years, a lot of people have decided they want to live their dreams. They want to start their own brand. So you're seeing more and more brands popping up. And so, are there any trends that you're seeing in the retail industry right now? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, there's so many trends happening. What I would say is something that maybe too many people aren't talking about is the grocery industry. There is just so much room in grocery right now, for a small business to really get in, and there's high profit margins happening there, especially in beverage as well as snacks. So I think that's something that people should really look into, because that's retailers are really looking at ways that they can make good money, and the cost on developing a lot of different kind of snack or beverages is really, really low when you look at the units, if you can mass produce it. So I would say, that's really something that I think a lot of small businesses should look into, because, we're about the dollar signs, right? So if you really want to capitalize, make good margins, be able to really tell a retailer, hey, you can sell these energy drinks for, $5, $7. They only cost 50 cents to make. You can, keep 70% of the profit. I'll take, 30%. And they go, how could we say no, right? There's so much money in the table to make there. And they're like, you're going to push this. And you're like, yeah, and I'm going to get this influencer behind it. And I'm going to get that behind it. And all of that. So I would say for the small businesses, it may not be something popular that people are talking about, but I would suggest really looking at food and beverage if you really want to kind of get into retail and scale fast. Other trends definitely is in beauty and skincare. Clean beauty has been a huge topic. So making sure your packaging is sustainable, or your actual product is reusable. So that's really popular if you want to get into the beauty industry. Taking that angle would be the best bet for a lot of beauty brands. Make sure when you're really formulating, make sure it's paraben free, don't test on no animals. All of those things are basically standard. So people can easily just Google up clean beauty, what that entails. And usually it has to deal with the product itself, the packaging, and then even maybe some sourcing aspects. Another thing that has been, I would say, not really a trend, but something that a lot more brands are doing these days, making sure that they're certified. So if you are a Black owned business, making sure you get that certification that you are. There's different certifications, coalitions that are out there. Same with, again, we just talked about sustainable. You can, get certified that, and certified that you're women owned. So all of that actually matters, because if you're going after a supplier, or a retailer, or a distributor, somebody who's gonna, sell your product for you or try to get you into retail, you definitely want to have as much added benefit that they can, use to kind of push your product. And then you can kind of get the leg up on maybe the competition, because maybe that company is also has those same aspects, but they don't have their certification to back it up, but you already do. So if it's like neck and neck, it's, well, this person already has the 10 certifications and sustainable, this, and that, this proposal just says that they do these things. Who are you really going to go for? Because just saying things don't really work anymore. People just want it certified, because nobody wants the backlash, or the bad press if it turns out, oh wait, there was an assumption made here that wasn't actually factual.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that is some great insight that you share. Like, the food market is something that, I hadn't really, I don't hear about it a lot. So I could see how, it is something that's consumed, that people can grab quickly. And the margins seem to be pretty good on that too. So the food market. And then I've seen a lot of people, like more and more skincare brands and things of that nature. So I love that you share, like, getting your Black owned or woman owned, and all of those things can really help you stand out from other brands. So I think those were definitely some great tips. So how else do you help beauty brands or just brands in general with Retail Boss? Like I know now you guys have a membership, you provide data and information and all of these things. So I want you to kind of give us like, you know, some of the other ways that you're helping people when it comes to getting into retail and all of those things.
Yeah, so I would say there's two ways. So the number one way is definitely becoming a member. We have a trial available as well as we have also free available as well. So if you were to go to retailboss.co, put that into your domain. I don't even know what I call it. I literally wanted to say just put it into Google, but everybody's just Googling everything. So just put Retail Boss into Google, make your life easy. And then you just click, will come up first. You can just become a member. Within our membership gives you access to exclusive content. Even if you just subscribe to our list, you'll be getting content, but you won't be able to access our really like juicy stuff that is, expert led, but you will be able to keep up to date with any kind of events or opportunities that we have going on. We also have a retail directory on our website. So that covers anything product or services for business to business. So wholesale, manufacturing, packaging, shipping, fulfillment. We have a whole bunch of businesses who are in that directory. You can click, that's free to look at. So again, that's on our website. You just click retail directory and you can start searching and maybe find your new business bestie or figure out how to kind of create your next big idea. So we have that. The second way that I assist is we are also launching our new retail accelerator program. We have seen so many retail accelerators from different kind of beauty brands specifically. We've seen Sephora, Target,
Different cohorts and stuff they hold. I've seen that.
Yeah, different cohorts. But I definitely believe that this isn't, it's not rocket science information. So we have been putting in some time to put together our own retail accelerator. And then anybody will be able to access that. So if you become a member, it's already going to be something that future members will have access to. So that's going to be really fun. And so then you'll be able to learn the same things because in those cohorts, it's only 10 or 5 people. And most of those people are already ready to be in retail. So it's almost like they're taking a refresher. What we're going to be creating is something that will be accessible to anyone, because when you are building up your brand, you should already have all this knowledge, for then you're creating something that can be successful in retail from the get-go. Because I see a lot of brands, what happens is they create the brand, they create the formulation, but the packaging wouldn't work in retail. It doesn't even fit on the shelves and the little slots. It's just too big. It doesn't, proportion wise, it's not making sense. The labeling isn't going to work. Also the shipping and all those kind of different things that they don't think of, even down just to the product labels, is incorrect or non-existent. And then they're redoing everything again. And wouldn't it be great if you could do everything right from the beginning? And then when those actual accelerators come around that already expect you to be ready, you're selected. So that's really what differentiates ours from the ones that already kind of exist in the market. We're kind of playing to those who want to be able to get into those other programs, which already guarantee you shelf space in those retailers. But it's very, very competitive and very limited.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because I do find I see a lot of those cohorts and they do expect you to already have everything all together. Like when you read, you're like, oh, well, so if you're just starting out, it might be a little overwhelming and you might not have everything you need. So I think that is great that you're offering that. Now, how can beauty brands get their products into retail stores? Can you share some ways that they can do
So
that?
a lot of the different retailers have on their website, if you search supplier, supplier agreement or supplier, and then put the retailer's name, you'll get usually their page that leads to more supplier information. I know even like Macy's updated theirs, and they even you have to kind of submit like who your market is, what your product, what your goal is, right? So they kind of want, the whole story, more of a kind of business plan when you do submit. Other companies have something where they just want you to kind of sign up through different third-party partners that they have, where they can easily search your product if they were interested. So I do know a few companies use RangeMe, so rangeme.com. That is a place where they connect a lot of the brands to retailers. So then that's your first kind of starting point. But again, most of the retailers are going to contact you, right? If they really like your brand, they're going to contact you. So one of my best advice to beauty brands or any kind of brands is try to get as much media coverage as you possibly can about your product. To get into retail, it's not so much about the founder, really. I feel like you don't really have to focus too much on that. Focus on your product. What is your star product? What is your star line, right? And then really during those times where the media publications are looking for holiday lists, you can easily submit or try to be get on one of the awards lists, right? Just submit your product, try to get some attention around the product, try to get influencers to try your product, because retail is about the product, right? I know on Instagram we love to listen to founders and CEOs, but in retail you're buying a product that you like and something that works. So I would say that would be your number one spot. Make sure your product is number one. Make sure it has all those certifications. Make sure people love it. Get those reviews up, and they'll come knocking at your door. I talked to a few beauty brands, and I asked them, oh, like, how did that even come about? And they said, oh, XYZ, big retailer slid in their DMs. So that's really what we're
Wow.
seeing more and more. Yeah. And then even shopping centers that we work with, they talk about that they themselves do the same thing. They'll go into someone's DM, and that's how it works. And the first thing as well is also try to get stocked at smaller boutiques and smaller marketplaces. D2C, you have your website, and then the next level you should be on different marketplaces. There's Walmart marketplaces, so you can be online in all these different kind of retailers if you're approved. And then after that you can kind of hopefully navigate more into the physical. But again, it's just about stellar product. If the more media attention, the more the retailers will notice you. A lot of them just look at the list and go, oh, what's that?
Awesome. Great tips, Jeanel. I love that. I think people don't think about, sometimes it's not as hard as you think it is. Sometimes it's just those simple things you can do, getting more press, getting yourself out there more, finding influencers to talk about your product and getting, more buzz, creating a buzz about the product is really what it is. And I think once they see you already have a buzz, they're like, okay, what's this product? We need to get it here in Sephora. So I love that. So thanks so much for sharing those great tips. So what are and then I think you already gave us some tips on how you could attract the buyers with the more media and all of that too as well. So I know you have your event coming up in a few weeks. So let's talk about your event and what you're excited about with all of that.
Yeah. So we have our annual Startup Retail Summit. So for anyone who's listening to this, you may miss the summit because it's just coming up this month. But we have the summit usually twice a year. So make sure you just go, you can follow it on Instagram. You can go at Startup Retail. Or again, once you become a member or just subscribe to our newsletter, you'll be kept up to date when we open up the next summit again. And basically that one is for any entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs who want to start their own product-based business. It could be beauty, fashion, grocery, whatever it is. We have our Startup Retail Summit that brings in a whole bunch of experts. I believe this year we have about 17 experts
Oh, wow.
across everything business related, to exactly that, kind of help you figure out what might be the best lane. So we have someone who can help you create your own cosmetic line, right, in less than 90 days using private labeling. We have also, if you don't want to do private labeling, great, we also have an option where you can create your own cosmetic formulations with one of our cosmetic chemists who will be on the panel. And then you own the rights to your actual formulations, right? You make something custom and create it based on whatever you want to do. You want to have this, and some stuff from Japan, whatever you want, she can make it happen. Then we also have for fashion, how to create your own line from scratch, right? And how to use, LA-based design companies. And also we have from New York, also another apparel design company. So we have all that, then covering everything, business, legal, accounting that you would need to know from the get-go. And I'll also be sharing some more advice on, what it really takes to get into retail, because the job doesn't stop when you get in, and it just keeps going from there. But what I always tell people is, think long term. Always think retail, even if you don't want to be in a retail store. The same rules are going to apply if you want to, open up your own storefronts or open up different kiosks or really do it all yourself. You're still going to have to understand retail and what moves in retail if you want to succeed.
Now, since you help a lot of brands get into retail and start up their brands, can you share like some things that you see that most small companies miss out on? Like, give us like a few things that they miss out on that you just really want to encourage them of or give them some advice for.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of small businesses, I feel like, are really already good at the branding. I think a lot of businesses are so good at branding their website. Even the product photography is getting really, really good. There's so many tools. I feel like, if you need a photographer for your brand, it's across the street, right? Like, it's such a different time that we're living in. Think about like 10 years ago, if you wanted someone to take photos of your clothing line, they might be like, huh? Like, I just feel like it's just so the norm now. Like, so many creatives, so many people to make different things. Even you can make your own campaign, like it during the weekend with a videographer and get a couple models. It's so surreal. So I would say that with small business, I see they're really good, very creative, great at all of those different kind of creative aspects. But again, the business side is where it continues to lack, right? Because anyone can register the business, anyone can file something, your trademark, great, everything looks cute and fun, but then the sales are lacking, the packaging isn't the best, the delivery takes too long, all the actual aspects on creating something that can really scale may be lacking. So again, I would just say always focus on the product. Make sure you have a stellar product, because I feel like marketing and branding these days is quite easy. It's not too hard to do. And even if do your first campaign and it doesn't hit, it's easy enough to get someone to make you a new campaign and continue to A/B test. But if you don't have a good product or something that's in demand that people want, all of that doesn't really matter. So sometimes I see great advertising, a model, and then I go to the product and it's not really anything that extraordinary. It's just kind of like a money grab. You think you're like, oh, that's all it is? It's just
Mm-hmm.
seaweed? Like, I don't know. It's like I need more. It's like you did so much and this is all I get. Like, so it's just like make something really good. Even have a higher price point. Just make something really good and unique, and then I think everything else is kind of easy. But yeah, I think there's a reverse happening where people do a lot of marketing branding, but they're pushing a product that isn't that great.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, just making sure the quality is there on the product for sure, right? And so what are some suggestions to find out if like how would you test the market to see and to learn if you have the right product?
Yeah, so usually what we see, at least in market research, this is what they do with focus groups. So what usually you do is you'll test out different campaigns or different kind of packaging for a week, and then for another week. We've even seen, brands will create two Instagram accounts with two different business names if they're still trying to figure out what business name and color, and kind of post and see which one's kind of gaining more attention and sales. It's so interesting that those things really matter. As we all know, in beauty, if you have pink packaging, purple packaging, usually those push really fast, right? Those will sell out fast. So there's even color strategy to picking what would be best, and it just is what it is, right? You can't really change if you're trying to compete. Your competitor is going to do what people want, and what are you going to do? You're going to want to be different, but when the sales aren't really getting there, then you're going to want to do the same. So I would say there's already ways that you can look at what products are doing. What's great with Shopify, if anybody has Shopify account, you can see what products are pushing more or less. Same with, posting on Instagram. You can see this got 100 likes, this got nothing, right? So again, I feel like testing out is so easy these days on the marketing and branding side. But again, the market research side of it on the actual product is the problem, because what if someone buys it and then they never want to buy it again, right? You cannot scale with people not repurchasing it, right? Your email list is almost doesn't matter because no one's going to care. And I think that's the biggest thing that I always see. So, yeah, I would just say again, it's hard to test your product till people are actually have it in their hands. So you could also do a lot of different market events. I know Essence always has, you could be a vendor with different kind of market shows, and then yeah, check out the competition. Are they selling out more than you? Right, then you can see something there. Or are people saying stuff about your product? Maybe have testers out if you're doing different kind of trade shows. So I feel like trade shows is also a good way to see if people like it, if people stop. So I think that's one of the greatest things. If you already have to have something that people are stopping, if you have to have someone go up there and go, hey, 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 buy this, okay, we got a lot of problems happening here, because that's already marketing. And then what if your marketing is great and people look at the product and it's like, what? So yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving pieces, but from what you're saying is, it sounds like there's been so much information in the industry about how to market your product. It is so much easier now. Like you could probably, buy a camera and watch a few YouTube videos and learn how to take your own product shots, right? But it's more to it than just marketing and all of that. It's really making sure you have a great product that people really want.
Exactly.
I
As
love
you
it.
know, and like I said, even my major in school was marketing, and then I have a certificate in real estate, more on like the commercial side of things from university. And yeah, like I say, marketing is easier than ever today. I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't need to hire like anyone to do it. You could do it yourself. Yeah. You see a lot of the like fashion brands that are doing really good, especially like the black owned ones that are doing great. Great. The model is the founder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the company modeling their own clothing, right? And I'm like, wow, what a different, era that we're in. And then the only difference on why they do well is because they have a good product. When people buy it, it actually looks good on. It does what it says it's going to do and more. So if you can just nail that, I think the marketing stuff is the easy part. That's why everybody can teach on it, because everybody can do it. So I would just say, yeah, market research, demand, product formulation. I actually just uploaded another educational video that's for members only, but it's all about how to do your own product development, by a lady who got her first product into QVC and sold over 1 million products. And it was just some really simple, I think it was like something for like your bra, so simple. And she's developed 3 products, and in that little 1 hour video she goes over how you can do it, her 3-step process on how you come up with an idea and then test the idea and then pitch it to QVC and different kind of networks. And yeah, no marketing even really happens till they kind of accept the product, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different ways where it really is more product specific. And yeah, exactly that, create something that is missing, something unique.
What about product patents and things of that nature? Is that something that you guys assist with as well?
Yeah, so even in that video, she goes over the patent, how it's done. We do have different kind of lawyers who go over a few different things. But again, the thing about getting information on patents or this, it's hard for lawyers to really say, because they can't really give out legal advice unless it's specific with a client, right? You tell them exactly, because imagine they say some da 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 da, you go do it, it doesn't work, they could be held
Mm-hmm.
liable. So I would say, at least in our education area, we have, some attorneys in there. We just uploaded one from a California attorney on how to protect your business entity, your brand name. Then we also have, on Instagram, her Instagram is the brand attorney, and she has something that she goes over, the differences between patents, copyright, all that kind of good stuff. What a utility patent is like versus the other like types of patents that are out there and how good they are for. But again, that's as much information that you can really get. Once you create that product, I think the main thing is an NDA. If you are creating something from scratch, so anyone you talk to, make sure they sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Mhm.
That's the best route to go. I do know that to get a patent takes a long time. Sometimes a
Yeah.
trademark can take a long time. You can triple that for, a patent. And usually patents are only good for a set amount of years, right? So unless it's something like so revolutionary, you might have a problem there. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, this has been very insightful. So I want to, ask you the last few questions before we wrap up. So tell us what's your overall mission, Jeanel, with Retail Boss.
Yeah, I would say our number one mission is to become the number one retail publication in the world. We have
Awesome.
big goals. Yeah, we find that in retail there are a few publications that are out there, but they only really cover the big Fortune 500, retailers, right? And who needs to hear the same boring story about Walmart's new, bots in their fulfillment center? Like, there's more exciting things happening in retail. So we really cover, more modern topics, up and coming independent brands, new, exciting, news that is happening in trends that is relevant in just like not only, physical retail, but also online retail, D2C, which is direct to consumer. That's really hot, which just basically means a brand that isn't in any kind of retail store and they just sell directly to their own customers through whatever means, website, trade shows, whatever it is. And so we cover all of that because retail is just so interesting. I just love all these new exciting brands. It's so inspirational to share about brands, of people who are like the same age as you. I'm like, this is insane. Like, and we're the only ones covering it. Still, those other retail publications do not cover, a lot of these brands because in their eyes, you're not big enough. But yeah, we're just changing the face of retail, one step at a time. We definitely make sure we promote Black owned, Latino owned, Asia Pacific, anyone who is doing innovative and exciting things in retail today is covered by our publication. And again, we love to share different kind of experts in the industry from all different backgrounds with all different expertise. We have people from Africa to Ethiopia to Dubai to US, and I'm actually Canadian. So there's just so many of us, and we just bring everybody together. And yeah, that my biggest goal is just to make sure retail is no longer boring.
I love it. I love it. That is awesome. So tell us what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned on your entrepreneurial journey thus far?
Yeah, I would say the biggest lesson I have learned is just to make sure you pick pick something that you enjoy doing every day. I've always said that, to create a good business is one thing, but to create a business that you enjoy is another thing. So you might want to figure out which one you want to do because yes, you can make a business that and find something that's going to be very profitable and going to make a lot of money. But again, with a lot of money, a lot of work, right? Or you can figure out something that, you're more passionate about, you enjoy doing, and has potential to make a lot of money, but it's not guaranteed, right? Both are going to take a lot of work, but one may be more enjoyable depending on what you put your value in. If you want to have, if you want different things, other than what you think money can provide. So I think there's two different types of, you have the business owner and then you have the entrepreneur. I think the entrepreneur is a little bit more idea. They're going to create something out of nothing. They're going to create something new, something that maybe, they have a vision for that they got to kind of get people behind. And I think that's really exciting. And then there's also the business owner, right? Which may be someone who, yeah, is more profit driven and they want to make franchises and they just want to, if this isn't moving on to the next thing. And I think in business, you actually need both people. So, you have your CEO and you have your CFO and COO, right? The operations, the finance, and then you got the head. So, if we think about like Steve Jobs and stuff like that, more of a visionary, all that kind of stuff. Who knew? There's not that many phone companies that really succeed out here. I'm sure many people have tried and we only have, the top 5 or 10, right? So we really think about it, the odds aren't really in his favor. So he definitely picked something that he was definitely passionate about, computers and phones. So definitely, and it ended up working out. And then you may have to bring people, well, I would say you need to bring people on your team who are better at the number crunching. Oh, that's a great idea and all, but we're going to do this because it makes more money. And so I would say as an entrepreneur, just understand which one you are, because you may be the money hungry one, but maybe you need to bring on someone on your team who's more creative, right? And can connect more with your audience. You need both. So I would say as an entrepreneur, I've learned that there is space for both kinds. And I think every business needs a combination of the two. So I really like businesses that have multiple co-founders, because I definitely think, two is better than one.
Awesome, awesome. So where do you go for motivation? Like, you're so busy, you got Retail Boss and all the things that you're doing. How do you stay motivated?
Yeah, I think to stay motivated, you just have to be self-motivated, because everything is not going to go your way. We all know that. We can all hope for the best, which we do, but you have to learn just to be positive through the ups and downs. And you also always have to have faith that things are going to work out in the end. Everything is just temporary, right? So even success, even failure, right? I think there's a quote about, well, the quote sounds better than what I'm going to come up with, but it's something along the lines of, failure is never, permanent. Like, it's never something that is a permanent thing, right? So same thing with success though, it's never permanent, right? Everything's up and down. You might have, a couple years where it's and other years where it was. And I think motivation just has to be internal, because there's so many things you cannot control, right? We saw this with the pandemic. You could not control if your store had to close. You could not control so many things. And then, yeah, I would just say the only thing you can control is your own mindset. So motivation, I think this comes from within, stay healthy, make sure you take care of yourself. Even if your business isn't doing that great today, at least maybe you went for a 10K run, you had that fruit drink, you lost a couple pounds, you gained a little bit of muscle this week. Right, not so sad after all, because the business isn't everything. So yeah, balance, personal life, business life, yeah, will definitely help your mindset.
So I didn't ask you the first question. I always ask everybody, so I'm gonna ask you now, and then we're gonna wrap up. But tell us something about yourself that most people would not know.
You know what? I think there's so much that people don't know, because I'm very private. I only post about my business. Like I said, what people probably don't know is that I am Canadian, right? I think that's probably the main thing here. So, I've been to the States numerous times, and whenever I interact with people, they tell me that I don't really have an accent. Some people think I do. Some people don't think I do. But I think that's usually the most a surprising thing to most people, that yeah, I'm Canadian and I'm just always in the States, and I just have so many friends and I just know so many people over there. Yeah, another thing is, I've been to Africa, I've been to every continent except for Australia. Favorite place I've traveled is China. So yeah, I would just say, those are a few things that people may not know. Yeah, kind of a globetrotter. I most of the places that I have gone, I went solo. So, I've always, my friends are always messaging me on travel advice. So I'm pretty good at that. And yeah, that's probably about it. All, all that I've been able to share.
Well, thanks for sharing. Hey, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing. I would love to see, Africa for sure, and China. So that sounds awesome. And you went on these trips by yourself.
Yes.
Wow.
China is just great, wholesale hub. And then when you're there, you can also go visit Hong Kong. So yeah, really great. You can travel around to all the different provinces that they have over there, because they have provinces just like Canada. Unlike, US, you guys like to have your states. Yeah, and yeah, you can take the train, you can take overnight trains where you sleep. They have the bullet trains. It's really, really, really cool over there. Over there they use QR codes for everything. When I tried to pay for my coffee, the lady was had this little device, and I was looking at her like, well, here's the money, and she was shocked. They would not accept my money. They needed me to have some kind of QR code on WeChat, which is kind of like WhatsApp, but WeChat is for, over there in China they use to communicate. But I guess also in there you got some QR code, and then that QR code, is like your Apple Wallet, like the equivalent, right? But they already
Mhm.
had that because that was years ago when I was in China. I was in 2018 or 2017. So yeah, they already had that technology, right? Which, took, more time for the West to catch up. But yeah, I ended up getting a free coffee out of it, and they didn't mind. They were so nice to me, and the lady even went and got me flowers. They gave me flowers with my coffee because she felt
Wow.
bad that I felt bad.
Wow, that's awesome. Flowers with your coffee. I love it.
Yeah, it's so sweet. And yeah, I have no bad things to say about, China. I had a great time in Africa. Yeah, I went to Kenya, went during the migration. So I got to see all the animals and everything. It was amazing. Yeah, definitely something I checked off my bucket list.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Jeanel. It's been so great connecting with you and learning more about you and Retail Boss. I really appreciate your time today. Do you have anything, last words or parting words you would like to share with us before you go?
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, thank you again for having me. I enjoyed the discussion. For anyone here who, again, is interested in retail, whether it is that you want to get into retail, start your own business, or you're just, one of those retail enthusiasts, you just like to keep up with what's happening in the news and trends, you can follow us on Instagram at Retail Boss. It's the same at Retail Boss on any social media handle, and then you can find us on on our website retailboss.co, and you can just sign up to our newsletter or become a member to access our exclusive content.
Awesome. Jeanel Alvarado, everybody, the Retail Boss. As always, stay great and we are out. Bye.